Good evening. You're watching Just the News. I'm Amita Balachandra. Let's take a look at our top story today. The Gujarat police has filed an affidavit, which is basically to oppose activist Teesta Setalvad's bail petition, and they've said that she was part of a conspiracy to destabilise the state government after the 2002 Gujarat riots. Now, the police has claimed the conspiracy has been planned at the behest of former Congress MP Ahmed Patel. The Congress, in the meantime, has described the allegations about Patel as mischievous and manufactured. Now, in the aftermath of the riots, to give you a bit of a context, Setalvad had founded the organization Citizens for Justice and Peace to help riot victims get justice. Now, the organization assisted the victims in filing cases, arranged funds to pursue the matters in courts, and offered protection to witnesses. Now, Teesta Setalvad was arrested on the 26th of June for allegedly committing forgery and fabricating evidence in a case related to the Gujarat riots. Former Gujarat Director General of Police R.B. Srikumar and suspended Indian Police Services Officer Sanjeev Bhatt have also been arrested in this case. The matter will now be heard on the 18th of July. Flood update coming up right now. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sharma has announced an assistance of 1,000 rupees each to over 1 lakh students who got affected because of floods in the state. The flood situation, however, has considerably improved, even though over 2 lakh people are still affected. Water levels, however, in all of the rivers were receding and none of them are flowing above the danger level. Now, the death toll due to floods and landslides in Assam has now risen to 194. Meanwhile, several people have been evacuated from low-lying areas in parts of Odisha's Malkangiri district, which are reeling under floods as backwaters from river Godavari in neighbouring Andhra Pradesh have inundated villages and fields. Now, district administration has opened shelter camps at different places for the flood-affected people as well. In the meantime, the IMD has forecast light to moderate rain in most places across Odisha, with heavy to very heavy rainfall in some parts of the state. Moving on now, a 3-foot statue of Mahatma Gandhi installed in a public park was vandalized by miscreants in Punjab's Bathinda. Now, this comes 2 days after a statue of Gandhi was defaced at a temple at Canada's Ontario City. Now, the footage of nearby CCTV cameras is being checked by the police to identify the offenders. Meanwhile, in Maharashtra, days after former Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray renamed Aurangabad as Sambhajinagar and Osmanabad as Dharashiv, the new government, led by Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, has now given the cabinet approval for the same. However, Shinde had earlier said that the MV government's decision was illegal as it was taken after the alliance had lost majority in the state. Earlier, just before the resignation, the MVA government on the 29th of June had taken the decision to rename these cities in the cabinet meeting that was chaired by the then Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. An update on the Mohammed Zubair case. According to a report by ANI, the bail plea of Alt News co-founder and journalist Mohammed Zubair was rejected by a Lakhimpur Keri court in Uttar Pradesh today in a case registered against him in September for fact-checking a report carried by the television channel Sudarshan News about the Israel-Palestine dispute. Now, a total of 7 FIRs, 6 in Uttar Pradesh and 1 in Delhi, have been filed against Mr. Zubair, the co-founder and fact-checker of Alt News. He had requested the Supreme Court to cancel 6 cases, however, filed against him by the Uttar Pradesh police. He'd also asked the special investigation team to be formed to investigate the cases and for them to be called off. Trigger warning for people who are watching at this point. The next news story involves rape. A 16-year-old girl was kidnapped and gang raped inside a moving car in Delhi. The victim, who is a class 10 student, was kidnapped from near her home. The incident reportedly went unnoticed as the accused drove the car for about 44 kilometers from Delhi's Vasant Vihar to Uttar Pradesh's Ghaziabad. All 3 accused have now been arrested. Also in the news, according to Live Law, the Delhi High Court on Friday refused to allow a 25-year-old unmarried woman to terminate her pregnancy of 23 weeks and 5 days. The bench refused relief to the petitioner, holding that the woman's pregnancy arose out of a consensual relationship and this is not covered under any clause, the bench said, of the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rules 2003. Now, under the law, abortion is permitted till 20 weeks of pregnancy, while for some categories of women, it is permitted till 24 weeks. Now, the categories include women and minors who face sexual assault, have been raped, or the child is born out of incest, among others. In fact, we've started a series called as Know Your Laws, done by Sanchita. And we put out a video on abortion laws in India. It's up on our YouTube page. Do take a look at it as well. Do like and share this video and watch the video in entirety. It will help us. Moving on from the story right now, 24 new bills have been listed by the Centre for introduction in the upcoming monsoon session of Parliament. The session will begin on the 18th of July and conclude on the 12th of August. Now, some of the bills include the Multi-State Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Bill, and the Press and Registration of Periodicals Bill 2022, among others. In the meantime, delivering an address at the 18th All India Legal Service Authorities meet at Jaipur, Chief Justice N.V. Ramana marked issues of hasty and indiscriminate arrests, difficulty in obtaining bail, and prolonged incarceration of under trials as urgent. Now, he said that there was a need to implement a holistic plan of action for increasing the efficiency of administration of criminal justice. Justice Ramana also expressed concern at political opposition translating into hostility and the quality of legislative performance. Moving on to environment news right now, this one coming in from the United Kingdom. According to a report by BBC, a national emergency has been declared in the United Kingdom after a red extreme heat warning was issued for parts of the country for the first time on Friday. Now, this essentially means that there is a risk to life and daily routines will need to change. Now, speed restrictions are likely on railway lines. Some schools will close early and some hospital appointments will also be cancelled, according to this report. The red alert was declared for parts of London, Manchester and York for the 18th of July and 19th of July, when temperatures could reach record highs of up to 40 degrees Celsius. On to news coming in from other parts of the globe, starting off with Sri Lanka. Ousted President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who's now fled to Singapore, has said that he, in his resignation letter, in fact, he said that he took all possible steps to avert the Sri Lankan crisis. In the meantime, Energy Minister has said that Sri Lanka received the first of 3 fuel shipments today. These are the first shipments to reach the country in about 3 weeks, and the country is grappling with its worst ever economic crisis since independence. Leader of opposition Sajith Premadasa yesterday announced his candidature for the presidential election scheduled for next week. Now, in the meantime, Deputy High Commissioner Vinod K. Jacob has today handed over dry rations worth 80 million Sri Lankan rupees to Department of Probations and Child Care Services, Sri Lanka. And good news for the day. This is also our sports news for the day. PV Sindhu has defeated Japan's Siena Kawakami by 21-15 and 21-7 in the semi-final match of the women's singles event at the Singapore Open 2022 on Saturday. She will now face her Chinese contender in the finals. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.